Today I'm going to show you guys how we're stocking up on a year's worth of chicken. Hey you guys, welcome back to Heartway Farms. Today we are talking stocking up, more stocking up. We've already done several videos talking about what we're kind of putting away for this year, and today we're talking about chicken.
Chicken and lots of chicken.
If you missed the video that we put out with the start to finish raising meat birds and going through the whole process and a butcher day, all of that, I will link that video here and you guys can go check it out. It's a long video, but we wanted to make sure that people who were learning how to do it and were interested in figuring it all out had the step-by-step process. So go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. But this is some of the evidence from that video. It is our goal this year, and Julianne has been doing almost all of it with a little bit of help here and there. But it is our goal this year to put away a whole year's worth of chicken for our family. First, I want to start off with talking about why. Why canning chicken versus other options? Because I don't know if you guys have ever had home canned chicken. Up until last year, right?
Yeah.
Last year was the first year that we did our own homegrown chickens. And so Julianne experimented. What you just wanted to, I don't remember like what even provoked it, but
I don't remember. It sounded like a good idea, so I tried it.
so she wanted to learn how to can chicken. And so I think we had 5 jars of chicken that we tried.
Yeah, it wasn't very much.
Everything else we kept frozen, and we opened up that first can of chicken, and we were like, this is delicious. So okay, I'm gonna give you 4 reasons right now why we are canning chicken as opposed to keeping it frozen whole in the freezer.
Which we're still keeping some frozen whole in the freezer.
We processed 80 birds. We have another 80 birds being raised up right now, and we might even, I gotta talk to Josh about it, he's sitting over there. We might even raise up another batch. It just depends if it's gonna be too cold, we'll have to see. But I'm gonna give you 4 reasons why we are canning our chicken this year, a huge portion of it, instead of keeping it in the freezer. And I'm telling you right now, it is our goal, and I think we're gonna be able to do it, to can at least 100 jars of chicken. Now this is, you can see we're in the process. This is how many we have so far, and we've used a few, and this is all the chicken broth. We'll get to that in a second. Again, my 4 reasons. Number 1, freezer space is a hot commodity here at our house, but our freezer doesn't have a lot of meat in it. It has
The green beans.
no. What else does it have? We
like
like
vegetables,
veggies.
fruits, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we like veggies frozen. We have a whole freezer dedicated to frozen fruit. Yeah. It's just, we like it better. You know, we have tons of jam put away. We have a lot of canned fruit, but we do really like the frozen fruit. So number 1 was freezer space. It is hard. I hate to admit this, but I have 3 freezers in my basement, and 2 of them are completely dedicated almost to veggies and fruit, which is fine. That's good, right? So that's number 1. Reason number 2, it is shelf steady, obviously. Okay, so we like how frozen, our whole chickens taste. If you roast them up in the oven, get the outside crispy, it's nice and juicy, that's great. But, have you guys ever had even just a freezer go out and you caught it too late, or you had power go out with a storm coming in or whatever, and you lose meat? That is so sad, because not only is it food, out the window, it's money out the window. So this is shelf steady. We're going to be able to keep this on the shelf. We have lots of storage in our basement, which we're thankful for. And so that's number 2. Number 3 is flavor. It is so good, you guys. It does not even compare to like store-bought canned chicken. That's dry and doesn't taste that great. You have to add a bunch of stuff to it. But like we already said, when we first tasted this, It was so good.
And I'm not a huge fan of meat very much in general, but I actually like this.
Well, and we know we raised it.
Yes. Well, like
So-
flavor-wise.
Yeah, flavor-wise, it's very good, and it's delicious. So, fourth reason,
Convenience.
convenience. I'm sure you guys are just as busy as we are, and the convenience of being able to walk downstairs, grab a can off the shelf, a jar off the shelf, and throw it into a meal last minute is huge. We are not very busy off site, off the farm, but we are very busy here at home. And there are things that come up. Sometimes customers and people just stop by and we end up chatting, and your day just goes like poof and it's gone. So it's really nice to be able to just pop a can open and prepare a meal very quickly, not having to worry about, because our chickens are frozen. So you either have to plan way ahead, which is fine, and put a chicken in a freezer for, chicken in the refrigerator for a few days to defrost and to thaw. And then you have to cook it, which takes, an hour or whatever, depending. Or you have a frozen chicken, you have to Instapot it, and anyway, so this is so convenient. That is why we are canning chicken this year instead of just keeping it all frozen, which we did last year, except for a few. I think maybe 5 chickens. I
didn't do barely any last year, and we did a couple of jars.
So we're in the middle of this process. Each one of these jars represents one whole chicken, give or take. It's what Julianne usually does is we're not going to show you this complete process today, except with just some little bits here and there. But what we do is we have 2 Instapots. One I purchased and one was gifted to me. And what we do is tell me the process.
We take the frozen chicken and put it into the pressure cooker with some water in it so it doesn't burn, and then we let
a trivet.
And trivet, yes, that also with not burning. And then you let it go for about, I do 45 minutes, but depending on the size of the bird.
I did an hour yesterday.
That's why they fell apart so much.
Well, I just did an hour. But anyway, so it doesn't matter. You're pressure cooking it. I wanted to make sure it would fall off the bone. So somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour on high pressure, not venting, obviously, in your Instapot or pressure cooker.
You could cook it in the oven, but this for us is just way more convenient. You don't need to babysit it.
Just falls off the bone too. So you put it in those, and then we do instant release.
Yeah.
Or self-release,
Yeah.
What do you call it? And
you open
release the pressure, carefully, because it's hot, it's steam. And then we pull out the chickens, and you have to let it cool a little bit, and then you shred them.
Shred them off the bone, get rid of the skin. Well, not get rid of it. I save all of the bones and stuff for making broth.
Yeah, which is over
That's what
here,
all that is.
and I'll talk about that in a second. But and then Julianne goes through the whole canning process. You've seen us use our Presto digital canner. We have used that for the chicken, but today Julianne's going to show you how to can it in your stovetop canner. But we have done both and have had success with both. When I'm considering prepping food for my family, I think you guys will remember me talking about this in our sit-down talk about prepping and wrapping your mind around it and not getting overwhelmed with it. We base our prepping upon meals. So, for example, let's say I want to make, I'm thinking, what meals does my family like? Well, if they like chicken and rice, then I need to have chicken, I need to have rice, I need to have cream of chicken or mushroom soup, water, salt, pepper. I think about the ingredients that I need to make that recipe. And then we base our stockpile off of those meal ideas. Breakfast, if I know my kids like oatmeal, I need to make sure I have a year's worth of oatmeal, which I do. I have oatmeal, rice, we're working on chicken, broth, all that stuff. So that's how you start. That's the starting point for all of that. And so that's what we're doing with the chicken. I know that I can make chicken tacos. I know that I can make chicken and rice. I can have chicken by itself, chicken and potatoes, and your list can go on and on. So that's why we're doing chickens as well. And so when Julianne goes through this process, she's just been slowly canning it throughout these last couple weeks here. and she does 5 chickens at a time. So we do the whole Instapot pressure cooker, get those chickens ready, shredded and all that, and she gets up to 5 of them. She makes sure 5 of them are done and shreds them, and then she does a round of canning. And then after that, then she does a round of broth. So each one of these cans, when I'm thinking prepping and I'm thinking about how much food, I know this is just a quart and we're a family of 8, but I have learned that this gives me 2 meals. You know, if you don't need leftovers at all, this is enough for 2 meals. So if I am prepping a total of 100 jars of chicken, that is 200 meals for my family. And then, you know, after she cans those 5 chickens, and then we make bone broth, which we can do a video on if you guys want to see how to do bone broth. It's not, you know, it's super easy and it's just long, slow cooking. But after she cans the chicken, then we take both of those pots that we cooked the chickens in.
We add more water, we add the bones, the skin, all of the stuff that we didn't put in the cans. And then we let that slow cook.
Along with vinegar.
Vinegar and salt, a little bit of salt and vinegar. And then we let that slow cook for...
We've done 16 hours sometimes. You can do 8 hours, but if you're busy, you just keep adding time to it, and it's fine.
It makes it nice and concentrated. It's got all the minerals in there, like more than if it was just going for like 6 hours. It's got the 8 hours, it's got the 16 hours.
So when we've been doing it for 16 hours, this is super concentrated bone broth, okay? So not only are we getting 2 meals per can off of the chicken, we are getting, I'm just considering 1 whole meal out of the broth, because this can have water added to it easily and be turned into
soups,
10 different soups if you wanted. I'm not going to list it all. Just say chicken noodle soup and a bunch of other soups that you can add them to. You can also use your chicken broth for cooking your rice in, to add great nutrition, fat content, calories, and nutrition into like something like rice. If you're needing to make it like a stir fry or just veggies or whatever you want to do, you can use this for lots of different things. And every time we cook 5 chickens, we decided we get about 7,
give or take a little,
quarts of concentrated bone broth, which again, I mean, this could even turn into 2 meals now that I think about it, because if I'm adding...
You can double the amount of water.
Yeah, so anyway, so this is a great benefit to have in your pantry. So Julianne today is going to show you guys how, so this is a little bit of a how-to video as well. I wanted to share what we're stocking up on, and I will continue to show you how, like, our progress in the chicken. But it really is going well, and it's pretty quick. And some days she gets this and the digital canner going at the same time, depending on if we don't have much going on. She just keeps those chickens going on. My house has smelled like chickens for like a couple weeks straight. Like in the morning I wake up to the smell of bone broth, and yeah, I think I'm becoming a little like nose blind to it
now.
But anyway, so I'll share with you guys the progress as we go with our pantry. I have another video coming up with like the different canned goods that we're stocking up on. But today Julianne is going to show you how to can chicken, and yeah, hopefully you can learn a new skill, and let's get started.
All right, so it's time to can up this chicken. I have prepared these chickens. It is all shredded up. There are 6 of them, there are 6 chickens. So the first thing I need to do is take the lids off of these jars. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse out each one of these jars with hot water. Now I'm gonna rinse off the lids.
And this is just because these are brand new, and they have an interesting
factory smell,
as we have titled it.
Then as you're doing this, you just kind of want to check the lids, make sure you don't see any defects on them, make sure they look straight. Okay, and now I'm going to come over here to my canner.
Don't mind all of our Instapots and stuff on the ground behind you. We're always working.
And I'm gonna fill that with I think 3 quarts of water, but I gotta double check. Yeah, it's 3 quarts of water.
What's your goal?
Like right about an inch and a half. And then I'm gonna fill each of these jars around halfway with the hot water and put them in the canner. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the heat on here to medium high. I'm going to take off my weight. Each one of these represents 5 pounds of pressure. So this is 5 pounds of pressure, 10 pounds of pressure, and then 15 pounds of pressure.
And today, what are we doing?
We're canning the chicken at 15 pounds of pressure.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do with this is let it come to a boil. And I'm gonna put the lid on here without the gauge so it'll allow it to vent. It's gonna be tricky to close. And I'm gonna let it boil. Once I hear it boiling in there, I'm gonna let it boil for 10 minutes. And then we're gonna can it. So this has been boiling, a nice hard rolling boil for 10 minutes. I'm gonna turn this off. There we go. Let it cool down a little bit. I'm gonna carefully open up this lid.
And it's safe to do that because it was able to vent.
Yes,
the
it
whole
was
time.
not pressurized.
Okay. Just as a
Steamy.
friendly reminder.
I'm gonna go bring them over here, dump out the water in the sink. I'm sure there's a better system of doing this. This is what I'm doing right now.
Do the tongs work better?
They might. Let me try those. Yeah, the tongs are easier.
I say you usually use the tongs. I'm not sure.
And then I'm going to. This pot is full of water. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on, and I need that to boil.
Because you're going to use it for what?
Filling the jars. Now, while that's heating up, I'm gonna start filling these jars here with my chicken. I'm gonna use my funnel. Keeps things a lot cleaner. So what I'm gonna do is just start taking handfuls of chicken and just put it in the jar. I like to use the back of the spoon to help make sure it's in there.
And you're not pushing it down very hard. You're just
No.
pushing it down gently
You do not want to pack it in there.
because you want it to can properly, and you need the internal temperature, which it's already cooked chicken, but you need the temperature of the chicken to be at the proper temperature for long-term storage.
So loosely packed is what it is. Then I'm gonna repeat that with all of my jars. I might not use all of them, we'll see.
Let's see how much. This is 6 chickens, right?
Yeah. So it should fill them all, but
If not,
sometimes
5.
if the chickens are smaller, they don't fill. an
Yeah,
entire
there was
jar.
one 3, or I guess it was just sub 4-pound chicken. And think about it, if we fill all 6 jars, that's 12 meals for a few hours of work this morning here.
Yeah.
Well, and yesterday, yes.
It wasn't very long though for the chicken.
Because you do it kind of passively, like, right? I mean,
Yeah,
as we
most
went
of
about
it's
all
just cooking.
yesterday, we had to do tons of stuff because, well, first of all, we all woke up. Tell me the story.
And we all woke up, went out there to take care of the animals, and the horses and the cow
The
had
bull.
the bull. He had messed up the fence. So we had to go out there and fix it. They had broken into the barn because we have like a slinky wire gate across one of the parts.
Something
of the
went
fence.
awry because all of our temporary fencing was
Strewn about.
all over the whole field. One of the wires on the 5-wire fence was busted, which is crazy. So anyway, we had a long morning of repairing things yesterday. But what you do is you get these chickens in the Instapot, and then you let it go. So it's so easy to pop it in there and go get all your other stuff done. and then set them aside, and at nighttime you shredded it all and prepared it for today. A lot of the times you do it all on the same day, but just because yesterday ended up being so busy,
Yeah.
today was canning day instead.
Yeah, in the afternoon too, that day we took pictures for our website.
Yeah, because we are updating the website, which is really exciting, heartwayfarms.com, and we have turned it into, or upgraded it to be able to buy and sell on there our farm fresh products. So go check it out, heartwayfarms.com. It's not completed yet, so give us some grace.
You gotta get the stock of our items up.
Yeah, but what are you putting on there? You're doing soap, lip balm,
soaps,
lotion,
lip balms, lotions. I think Marie might be doing some crochet items.
which are adorable.
So cute.
Um,
I'm sure there's other
honey,
things. Honey,
elderberry.
yes. Yeah, I might be able to pack some more into these jars here.
So you're at 6, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I did
I
purposely
can
pack
use it.
some of them a little more loosely in case I did have to add more.
Okay.
We ended up having more chicken than I thought, so we cleaned an extra jar, and I'm gonna fill that one. And it seems like my water's ready. It's boiling over there.
So that's 14 meals.
Mm.
7 jars, which we can fit 7 quarts in our stovetop canner.
Yeah.
So that's great. You're making the most of your space.
So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of Himalayan pink salt. You can use any kind of salt. This is just what we have today.
We like pink salt.
Yeah, it's good for you.
It's pretty.
And you can add
But
no
that's not why.
Yeah.
Good minerals. That's why we like it.
And if you're trying to avoid salt, you
Just
can do
nothing.
less.
Yeah, or nothing.
Or if you like salt, you can do more. This is right middle of the road.
But it literally does not make the chicken salty.
No.
It just helps preserve.
Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is get my funnel back, and I'm going to fill them up with water.
And this is boiling water, correct?
Yes, it's very hot.
Our jars are hot and the water is hot.
You're just gonna slowly put this in because it's gotta get all in with the chicken. It's gotta fill all the little cracks in there, and then you want to stop it at the rim here, so it has about an inch of headspace. And then what I'm gonna do is take the back of my spoon and just kind of keep working it, so it gets rid of most of the air bubbles. Just kind of mixing it in. Okay, that one looks good. And I'm gonna repeat that with all of my jars. My jars are completely filled. Now I'm going to clean the rims. This is white vinegar. And I'm just gonna dip that in, dip my paper towel in there.
And why is that important, particularly with meats?
The vinegar helps to cut the grease, so it keeps everything nice and clean.
Because you want a clean seal,
Yes.
a proper seal. If when you open a jar, it does not make the nice sound, the
Nice pop.
pop sound,
The air sucking sound.
when all else fails, if you have doubt that there was an error in the sealing, do not eat the food. It's just better to be wise about it. But if it's, you should be able to hold these up with the rims off, just by the hold up the whole jar without the seal breaking, with the ring on, without the ring on there. Yeah, and store them without the ring. Don't stack your jars on top of each other because you will have the illusion of a seal, but sometimes they won't be sealed.
Be the false seal.
And I'm saying, this does not happen often, but it does happen once in a while because whether there's an issue with a ring, not a ring, but like a
This is
lid,
defective or something.
if there's something wrong that you can't see. And you're not tightening those down really tightly, you're just tightening them down.
Just like with
One-
your wrist. Don't use your whole arm, just like your fingers. I'm using a little bit of my wrist, but not much.
You don't need to really tighten them down strong, just enough to close it.
Just kind of as you're going, I like to run my finger around the rim real quick just to make sure there's no nicks or cracks in there.
Yeah, because occasionally you'll get a nick in a jar.
Yeah.
You cannot use that jar.
I'm gonna get my white vinegar and pour about just under a quarter cup worth in the water. We have hard water, so
Grab me a jar of the zucchini relish. I'll show you what happens if you have hard water. Let's see if you can see it in the video.
I think you can. It's like
Hold it against your shirt real quick. Can
filmy.
you see the powder?
Filmy powder buildup.
That is just
Mineral
hard water. Hold it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. You get the
Yeah.
idea. If you put vinegar in your water, that won't happen. We forgot to put vinegar in the water for that round.
I'm gonna go put these in the canner. And I did add a little bit more water in here. Probably like another 3 cups worth.
It's a solid 1.5 inches or so of water in the bottom.
And that's before you put the jars in.
Yeah, it will rise obviously with the jars. All right.
Okay, now I'm gonna get my heat again onto, I'm gonna keep it at medium. I'm gonna put the lid on here. And we're not ready for the weight.
The regulator.
We're gonna let it come to a boil. And when you see steam coming out of here, set a
Consistently,
timer
right?
consistently. Set a timer for 10 minutes, and you're gonna let it do the full steam for that whole 10 minutes. And then at that point, you can put the regulator on and set your pressure time. And this is going to be at 15 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes.
That's 90. 90 minutes.
Hour and a half.
It's a long time, but we want to be thorough, right?
Okay, so this just started venting.
You see that steam coming out of there?
Steady.
Yep.
I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. And I'm gonna let it do the full steam for 10 minutes. And then it'll be time to put the gauge on. Okay, our timer just went off. This has just been venting for 10 minutes. And now it's time to put the pressure on, or the weight on, the weight gauge. And I'm gonna put all 3 weights on here. And that'll be 15 pounds of pressure. I'm gonna put it over here. There we go. So you can... And then now, you don't start the timer yet. You don't want to start it now. You're gonna wait for this to bounce, and I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. And then at that point, you can set your timer for the 90 minutes.
And you'll hear a noise, and we'll let
like
you
a-
listen.
Kind of a noise.
What kind of noise?
It's
Can
a
you
classic.
can you show me that noise again? Just kidding. But you're right. That's how you would.
That's what it sounds like, except a lot louder.
Sorry, that was funny. Okay, we'll show you what that is in just a minute.
Okay, now see this thing bouncing? My dad thinks it sounds like a train. It does.
All right.
Okay, so my weight is now bouncing and making a little noise. And I'm gonna set my timer for 90 minutes. Okay, so this has been going for the 90 minutes. Our timer just went off. Now I'm just gonna turn off the heat. And I'm not gonna do anything with this for about at least an hour, maybe longer. I'm gonna let it depressurize on its own.
And even sometimes you have let it sit overnight. If if it's bedtime and it ends, then it doesn't really matter. You can let it sit in there as long as you want.
Yep.
But you do not want to open this right now.
Do not.
Because why?
It'll explode.
Okay, so no exploding. We want to can properly, no exploding. All right, we'll see you guys back here in an hour or a few hours.
All right, this has been sitting for a couple of hours now, and we're ready to take our jars out. See, it released all the pressure on its own.
So it won't explode.
There still is probably a lot of steam in here though, so.
Don't burn yourself.
Well, actually, no, there's not that much.
And it is okay if your liquid level has dropped a little bit. That happens.
Then sometimes the water just settles in there too.
Yeah.
Because
it
all the
all
air
bubbled
pockets
around.
in the chicken.
Yeah.
that is it. We're done.
Good job.
Almost done.
14 meals put in the pantry, right?
Yep. And then what I'm gonna do tomorrow morning is I'm going to remove these rings and wash my jars, and then they'll be ready to go into storage.
And check your seals, right?
Yes, make sure the seals.
And then just for fun, we will do a video in this future, but what's in the digital pressure canner behind you?
Bone broth. Chicken bone broth.
Chicken bone broth, which is what we use these bones from these chickens to make. So, all right, happy canning.